The gathering storm. The Nexus ring hung in space like a crown of steel and crystal, its massive structure orbiting the dying star Helios Prime. Ambassador Zara Okafor pressed her palm against the viewport of her transport shuttle, watching the station grow larger as they approached. At 43, she had represented Earth in countless negotiations, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. Today, the fate of trillions would be decided. "Impressive, isn't it?" asked her aide, Lieutenant Commander Jasper Knox, joining her at the window. The Nexus ring stretched for hundreds of kilometers, its gleaming corridors capable of housing entire cities. Built by the builders themselves, 15,000 years ago. Zara nodded, her dark eyes reflecting the station's lights. And now it hosts what might be the galaxy's final diplomatic gathering. She straightened her formal Earth diplomatic uniform, the silver and blue fabric catching the starlight. "Are our teams in position?" "Phase 1 is ready for your signal," Jasper confirmed quietly. "Dr. Osworth's devices are loaded and waiting." Their shuttle docked with barely a whisper of metal against metal. As they disembarked, Zara was struck by the diversity of beings moving through the station's corridors. Towering Vex collective drones marched in perfect formation, their cybernetic bodies gleaming with weapon attachments. Krillian warriors scuttled, passed on 8 legs, their chitinous armor clicking against the floor. Ethereal beings floated by in robes of pure energy, their faces hidden behind masks of shifting light. The Grand Assembly Chamber was a marvel of engineering, a sphere 2 kilometers in diameter with gravity oriented toward the center. 15 distinct sections accommodated the unique needs of each species. Zara took her place in the modest, human section, noting how small it seemed compared to the others. Emperor Vashka of the Krillian Hive was the first to speak, his voice a chittering rasp that the universal translators rendered into cold precision. "The hive grows beyond our borders. Our queens lay 1 billion eggs per cycle. We require the agricultural worlds of Sectors 7 through 12, or our young will starve." His compound eyes glittered as holographic displays showed swarming ships ready to devour planets. Supreme Node designation. Prime of the Vex Collective responded with mechanical certainty. The collective has calculated optimal resource distribution. Inferior biological species consume 73.6% more resources than necessary. Termination protocols will improve galactic efficiency. The chamber dimmed as the Vex displayed their newest creation, star-killer weapons capable of igniting entire solar systems. High Ethereal Luminous stepped forward, his energy form pulsing with ancient authority. The younger races pollute existence with their crude emotions and chaotic thoughts. The great purification will cleanse the galaxy of lesser consciousness, leaving only the enlightened to inherit the stars. One by one, each species presented their solution to the galaxy's resource crisis. The Quarian Republic showcased gravity weapons that could collapse planets into black holes. The hegemony of scales demonstrated bioweapons that could strip worlds bare of life in hours. Every presentation ended the same way, with promises of expansion through conquest. When her turn came, Zara stood slowly. The chamber fell into an uncomfortable silence. "Honored representatives," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the vast space. "What if we didn't have to choose who lives and who dies?" Emperor Vashka's chittering sounded like laughter. "The human child speaks of impossibilities. Resources are finite. Territory is limited. The strong survive. The collective has computed all variables," Prime declared. "Conflict probability, 99.97%. Alternative solutions, none detected." Zara remained calm despite the dismissive voices rising around her. "My species has a saying, before you walk a mile in someone's shoes, you can't understand their journey. Perhaps understanding each other better might reveal solutions we haven't considered." High Ethereal Luminous's mask flickered with what might have been amusement. "Young species always believe in fairy tales. Compassion is weakness. The universe rewards only strength." As the session ended, the assembled species began formal war preparations. The final culling would begin in 90 days, A coordinated campaign where each civilization would seize what they needed through force. Zara watched the delegates file out, their minds already focused on battle plans and conquest. Alone in the human section, she activated her secure communicator. Phase 1 is authorized, she whispered. Deploy the neural bridge network. If they won't listen to words about understanding each other. She paused, watching the stars through the viewport. Then we'll have to show them what understanding truly means. Across the galaxy, hidden human teams began their most dangerous mission ever. The silent revolution captain Marcus Vale crouched in the maintenance shaft of the Krillian war moon, sweat beading on his forehead despite the environmental suit's cooling systems. Through the metal grating beneath him, he could see thousands of Krillian warriors preparing for battle, their chitinous armor gleaming under harsh artificial lights. In his pack were 12 neural bridge devices, humanity's last hope disguised as routine communication enhancers. Phoenix team, report. Status, he whispered into his comm, using the code names for the other infiltration units spread across the galaxy. Raven here, came the voice of Commander Nina Reeves from the Vex homeworld. Installation proceeding smoothly. The collective's logical minds make them surprisingly trusting of efficiency upgrades. Falcon reporting from ethereal space, added Lieutenant Colonel James Park. These energy beings are fascinated by technology that claims to enhance spiritual connections. They're practically installing the devices themselves. Marcus smiled grimly. For 6 weeks, human teams had been working across 12,000 star systems, placing neural bridge devices in every major military installation, government center, and population hub. The aliens saw them as standard communication equipment. Another example of humanity's talent for mundane technology. The irony wasn't lost on him. While other species developed weapons of mass destruction, humans had spent decades perfecting something far more revolutionary: artificial empathy. Dr. Caney Osworth's neural bridge technology could create temporary emotional connections between any sentient beings within its field of influence. A vibration through the hull told Marcus that another Krillian battle fleet was docking. He carefully opened his pack and removed the first device. It was small, about the size of his fist, with a crystalline core that pulsed with soft blue light. To any alien scanner, it would register as a standard subspace relay amplifier. Eagle to Phoenix, came another voice. Sergeant Rachel Torres from the Quarian Republic. We've got a problem. Their security chief is asking too many questions about the new equipment. Stay calm, Eagle, Marcus replied, attaching his first device to a major communication hub. Remember, you're just a maintenance contractor. Show them the fake Republic authorization codes. The plan was audacious in its simplicity. While the galaxy's greatest military minds prepared for war, humanity was quietly installing a network that would make large-scale violence psychologically impossible. Once activated, every being within the network's influence would feel the emotions of those around them. Their fear, their pain, their desperate desire to return home safely. Marcus moved deeper into the war moon's systems, placing devices at critical junctions. Around him, Krillian technicians worked on loading planet-killing bioweapons, completely unaware of the human creeping through their infrastructure. The neural bridge devices integrated seamlessly with existing systems, drawing power from the station's reactors while appearing to function as simple communication boosters. Phoenix, this is base, came Ambassador Zara Okafor's voice from the secure channel. How's our coverage looking? 96% complete, Marcus reported, attaching another device to a power coupling. The beauty of this network is that the aliens are helping us build it. They think we're upgrading their communications for better coordination during the war. Indeed, across the galaxy, alien military commanders were praising human efficiency. The Vex Collective had calculated that the new communication enhancers would improve battle coordination by 23.7%. The Ethereals believed the devices would create stronger spiritual bonds between their warriors. Even the paranoid hegemony of Scales had approved the installations after human teams presented forged documents claiming the devices would give them tactical advantages. Raven here, Commander Reeves reported from her position inside a Vex battle station. I'm watching them load the Starkiller weapons. They're planning to ignite every sun in the Krillian territories. Her voice carried a note of horror. Marcus, if our plan doesn't work... It will work, Marcus said firmly, though doubt gnawed at him. The neural bridge technology had been tested on small groups, never on a galactic scale. Dr. Osworth's calculations suggested it would prevent large-scale warfare, but calculations couldn't account for the deep-seated hatred some species felt for each other. Wolf team reporting, came a new voice, Captain Diana Cole from the ancient builder ruins. We've discovered something interesting. The builders had similar technology 15,000 years ago. Their records suggest they used empathic networks to maintain peace across their empire. Marcus paused in his work. What happened to them? Unknown. The records are incomplete, but their empire lasted for millennia without major wars. That was encouraging news. Marcus finished installing his last device just as alarms began blaring throughout the war moon. For a terrifying moment, he thought they'd been discovered. Then the Krillian voices over the speakers told a different story. The final culling had been moved up. War would begin in 48 hours, not 90 days. All teams. Priority override, came Zara's urgent voice. The timeline has accelerated. Complete your missions and return to safe distance immediately. Marcus began his careful retreat through the maintenance shafts. Behind him, the war moon hummed with activity as Krillian warriors prepared for the largest military operation in galactic history. They had no idea that humanity had just finished installing a weapon more powerful than anything in their arsenal. The ability to truly understand each other. Phoenix to base, Marcus reported as he reached his hidden ship. Krillian installation, complete. Network coverage now at 98%. Activating final phase protocols. Across the galaxy, human teams were reporting similar success. In less than 2 days, 50 million warships would gather for the Battle of the Shattered Worlds. When they arrived, they would find something waiting for them that no military strategist had ever encountered. The irresistible power of genuine empathy. As Marcus's stealth ship slipped away from the war moon, he looked back at the massive structure, bristling with weapons. Soon every being aboard would understand what their enemies truly felt. The question was whether understanding would be enough to stop a war that had been brewing for millennia. The day piece. One Dr. Caney Osworth stood in the underground neural bridge control center beneath Geneva, his weathered hands hovering over the master activation console. Through the massive displays surrounding him, he could see the greatest military gathering in galactic history. 50 million warships assembled in the Shattered Worlds sector, their weapons primed for annihilation. Network status? He asked, his voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. All systems operational, reported Chief Technician Lisa Hartwell. 57 million neural bridge devices are online across 12,000 systems. Coverage, 99.2% of all galactic military assets. Caney nodded, watching the tactical displays. The Krillian Hive had positioned 3 billion warriors in their swarm ships. The Vex Collective's geometric formations bristled with star-killer weapons. The ethereals floated in vessels of pure energy, ready to purify entire star systems. Every species had brought their most devastating weapons to this final battle. Dr. Osworth, came Ambassador Zara Okafor's voice from the diplomatic observation deck. The alien commanders are demanding our small fleet choose sides. We have approximately 10 minutes before they open fire. Caney looked at his life's work. Banks of quantum processors that had taken 30 years to develop. The neural bridge wasn't just communication technology. It was evolution in electronic form. When activated, it would create the largest empathic network ever attempted, linking the emotions and sensations of every being in the battle zone. Initiate. Phase 3. Caney commanded. Lisa's fingers danced across her console. Neural bridge network. Activating now. Across the galaxy, 57 million devices hummed to life simultaneously. Invisible fields of empathic energy spread outward, overlapping and connecting until every ship, every station, every warrior was caught in an intricate web of shared consciousness. The effect was immediate and profound. Admiral Thex of the Krillian, Warfleet was about to order the first strike when a wave of unfamiliar emotion crashed over him. Suddenly he could feel the terror of Lieutenant Zix, a young Vex drone operator aboard an enemy ship. The drone's mechanical body couldn't hide the organic brain's desperate desire to survive, to return to its collective and share its experiences. One last time. On the Vex flagship, Supreme Node Prime experienced something its logical circuits had never processed: the fierce maternal love of a Krillian queen protecting her eggs light years away. The protective instinct was so powerful it temporarily overrode the collective's combat programming. High ethereal luminous, preparing to unleash purification beams, suddenly felt the simple joy of a Quarian engineer who was looking forward to seeing his children graduate from their first-year studies. The emotion was so pure, so fundamentally life-affirming that Luminous hesitated. Dr. Caney watched the tactical displays with growing amazement. Energy signatures dropping across all fleets, Lisa reported. Weapons are powering down instead of charging up. But the most remarkable change was happening on individual ships. Captain Yara Voss of the Hegemony of Scales found herself experiencing the homesickness of an ethereal warrior who missed meditating in the crystal gardens of his homeworld. The longing was so intense that she could barely remember why they were supposed to be enemies. "This is impossible," whispered General Korth of the Iron Syndicate as he felt the grief of a Krillian mother who had lost warriors in previous battles. Her pain became his pain, her loss his loss. The empathic network created cascading connections. Fear, love, hope, and sorrow flowed between species that had been mortal enemies for millennia. For the first time in galactic history, beings truly understood what their enemies felt. "Dr. Osworth," came Captain Marcus Vale's voice from his observation ship, "the impossible is happening. Weapons fire has completely ceased. They're opening communication channels." On the displays, Caney watched as something unprecedented occurred. Instead of unleashing destruction, the massive fleets began talking to each other. Krillian hive singers translated their need for expansion into emotional frequencies that ethereals could understand. Vex drones shared their collective consciousness with individualistic species, showing them the beauty of unified purpose without conquest. The breakthrough came when Emperor Vashka of the Krillian hive opened a channel to Supreme Node Prime. Through the neural bridge, the Emperor could feel the collective's genuine desire for galactic efficiency, not through destruction, but through optimal resource allocation. "We understand each other," Vashka chittered, his voice filled with wonder. "The collective seeks order not from hatred but from a desire to reduce suffering." "Correct," Prime responded, its mechanical voice carrying new nuances. "The hive's expansion need not require conquest. Resource redistribution can accommodate growth cycles." High ethereal luminous joined the conversation, his energy form pulsing with revelation. The younger race's emotions are not chaos. They are different forms of consciousness seeking the same fundamental goals: survival, growth, and meaning. Within hours, representatives from all 15 species were working together on solutions that had seemed impossible before. The Quarian Republic offered to share their terraforming technology with the overcrowded Krillian hive. The Vex Collective calculated resource distribution systems that could support every species' needs without warfare. The ethereals provided meditation techniques to help younger races find spiritual fulfillment beyond material conquest. "It's working," whispered Ambassador Zara Okafor, tears streaming down her face as she watched former enemies embracing aboard neutral stations. "They're actually working together." The formal Treaty of Universal Understanding was signed in space, aboard a hastily converted diplomatic vessel. Every species contributed something unique: the Builder's ancient wisdom, the Vex efficiency algorithms, Krillian biological innovation, ethereal spiritual insights, and humanity's gift of empathy. Dr. Caney stood before the assembled representatives via hologram. "Today marks the beginning of the Empathic Alliance," he announced. "Not a conquest, but a cooperation. Not the end of differences, but the beginning of understanding them." Epilogue. 100 years later, Professor Maya Chen Okafor, great-granddaughter of Ambassador Zara Okafor, stood before her class of mixed-species students on New Harmony Station. "Today we celebrate Peace Day," she said, gesturing to the stars visible through the classroom windows. "The day our ancestors proved that understanding each other is the most powerful force in the universe." A young Krillian student raised a chitinous arm. "Professor, what happened to all the war fleets?" Maya smiled. "They became the Exploration Corps. Those same ships that were built to destroy now carry scientists, artists, and diplomats to new worlds. The galaxy remembers the day humans chose peace over power, and it changed everything." Through the station's vast windows, the lights of 1,000 different species ships moved peacefully through space, carrying not weapons of war, but the tools of understanding that would continue to grow across the stars.